Yeah, hello, yeah, hello. Anyone hear me? One moment. Hi, hello, yeah, hello, Enderin. Hello, welcome to the stream. Boop. Hello. Well, so much time since the last stream. Well, only like 2 days, but it seems like a lot of time. How are you? Actually, I'm very great, very great. Um, I'm feeling really nervous because on Saturday we're gonna have a special stream. I'm thinking I might do karaoke, karaoke stream. I don't even have the songs or anything. Oh, you're good. Perfect. That's really nice to hear. Today we're gonna be playing a little bit of Celeste. I already have it open. Yeah, and last stream did greatly with that game as well. Let's see. Do you know the game Celeste? Let me put it on screen now. Well, so it should be in all black, right? All should be black. And now, okay, it should give image now. There you go. There you have it. Have you heard of the game before? Actually played like 2 years ago and last stream, and I don't even remember the controls. Well, you see, I have like more than 50 hours in this game. Let's go into this save. Excellent. Hope that you really like it. We left it with like, I don't have the tape with this one. We were about to do the Celestial Resort. There you go. Thank you so much for being here and well, joining so soon. That's, I don't quite remember anything of the story or anything. I just remember that you can collect like those strawberries. There you go. If I'm not wrong, there was something here. Yes. Whoops. Oh, it wouldn't be possible to stream like this if you weren't here. Weren't be here. If you wouldn't be here, since it actually it feels so relieving to have people watching and so, and mostly if, well, it's like a first streamer like me that don't have pretty much time in the community or anything. Yes, I just started like 2 weeks ago, so pretty proud of my 13 followers. Please ring the, oh, thank you. Hello, little, welcome, may I help you? Are you a ghost? A ghost? Don't be silly. I am the concierge of this fine establishment. Welcome to the world-renowned Celestial Resort Hotel. Oh, Mr. Oshiro, yeah, I remember. At your service. 2 guests in 1 day, business is finally picking up. 2 guests? Am I not the only one here? How long will you be staying with us? I'm just passing through. I'm climbing the mountain. We have a back exit. A back exit? Just passing through? This will not do. You know I can still hear you, right? In any case, our rear service door is reserved for hotel staff only. However, our top floor president suite features a world-class view of the peak. Yes, you'll be quite comfortable up there. Maybe I could get on the roof from there and climb down to the back. The presidential suite, marvelous idea. What is your name for records? I'm Merohi. But again, I'm real not interested in staying. Right this way. And there was something here I wanted to check. It appears to be a very old and dusty guestbook. Okay. Many of the pages are damaged. Damaged. English hates me. Or missing. The comments, however, are glowing. We'll never forget our time here. I never felt more at peace. Thank you. Glowing? Oh, wait a second. No, not possible. What? I'm so dumb. Oh yeah, you're right. I think you shouldn't be able to hear it now. And let's also turn on the desktop audio. Really forgot about that important thing. Now you can hear the music. Okay, perfect. Nope. Okay. There. Was there something secret in here? Nope. Perfect. Okay, so everything sounds good. I was recently struggling to find like real people on Twitter and so on. There's a lot of bots and scam accounts. I don't wanna... Whoops. Okay. Found a secret. There you go. And what am I supposed to do? Yeah, so I was saying there was a lot of like scam accounts as well. And a lot of graphic designers offering me to lend their services. There you go. And it's real difficult to make like friends here, or I don't know, meet more people if they're all this kind of people. Like, I am a graphic designer myself. I don't need to to have more people telling me to have this thing and this other thing. Dude. Perfect. Like, I have already made all the panels and everything for the channel, so shouldn't be any problem. I'm thinking I left something. Whoops. I thought I was gonna make more commentary on this kind of games, but sometimes I'm just really concentrated. Sorry for that. Sometimes I stay silent. Oh, thank you. Oh, there's a tape here. Thank you for compliment. And those are like placeholders mostly. Because I don't want it to be... I want it to be original artworks. And I also have to change the model. Right now I'm only like PNG, but I already have the model for what I want. what I have in mind. I mean, it's kind of difficult to find people who does that and have a good quality as well, and that I would like to work with, because there's a lot of people that does those kind of things, but later on they are very rude, or they just are not worth it to work with. Please follow me closely, Mr. Merrick. The elevator is just down the hall. The hotel is in pretty rough shape. It is really open for business? Of course, we're open. The Celeste Resort Hotel would never close during prime tourism season. Rough shape, what did she... Oh, maybe because of all the red thing is hanging from your ceiling. Oh, please allow me to carry your luggage. My bag? No thanks, I'll keep it. Very well. What a peculiar guest. Am I able to reach that far? I don't think so. Oh yeah, there is a tape. Yeah, I know. Only a model costs like $3,000. Sorry, $300 or so. And I don't have the money. Really don't. Nope. There's no way I could do that. That's why for like right now I just choose a VTuber image that had the commercial license and just went with that. Well, at least for some time. I don't plan to use it for years. Well, I hope not. Oh my god. I hate this kind of berries. What? No. There you go. And also, like, for VTubing, you have to have a right camera, like a good camera. Otherwise, you cannot be like doing all the face tracking, and so I don't have like an iPhone or. Actually, in my country, Android phones are more common than every iPhone. Let's go. How am I supposed to do that? Oh. Nope. Okay. The first thing that I'm gonna like spend my savings on would be a good microphone. Oops. Because I don't want it to be like with a shitty quality all the time. I'm just using a noise suppressor, but it sounds so rough already. And mostly if I want to do like a karaoke stream or so. Oh. I think I found a way. No, I was so close. Today's stream is gonna be a little bit shorter than usual. My mom didn't go. She had to take a flight. Okay. No. Go. I usually hate this kind of games, but No. Okay. Jump up. Jump. Yes, of course, I do. I'm like planning on some collabs, but I don't know much people, and I don't want them to just send them a DM or something and hey, just want to collab, and I don't even know them. So I'm trying to know more people. I know that one VTuber that I really like is Smitten Sarah. I recently talked to her, and it's really nice to me. It makes me a lot of compliments and so on. And well, it's one of the first people that believed in me when I tried to do all this. I think here is the B side. Oh, I remember. I think I have to come here once I clear all the stuff. Well, but yeah, it should be really fun to collab with more people. I'm really looking forward to it. I'm not quite sure what to do though. Should I play multiplayer games or so? Oh, okay. No. I would really love to play Minecraft. I know it's really saturated, and I don't want to be like, oh, this VTuber plays Minecraft, just like everyone else. Whoops. Like, I don't want to play overly saturated games. Oh. I should look up to like more people to follow too and attack with. The problem is that my Twitter got overly saturated with graphic designers, scam accounts, and people that I don't quite know if they're bots or human people. Well, I know that once I created the account, like the Twitter account, I got like 50 followers. And they didn't even know me. I thought, well, maybe it's because you got recommended, maybe maybe it is because of the panels, they like the profile, but later on when I'm watching them, when I'm like reviewing them, it's all graphic designers and people that I don't quite know. There you go. I don't know if they're real or just I told you that scam accounts, yeah. And I was planning to like, I don't know how you would call it, like hire a bot for not having bots. Maybe have an application or so that just clears all my followers. Because it's really funny, since Twitter, you know how Twitter just shows you what you want it to show you. So if you follow, I don't know, music creators, it will show you music all the time. And since there's a lot of accounts that follow me all at once. I'm thinking the only thing that shows up in my profile are bots. Maybe some people that I know that I want to talk with, like this VTuber Sarah, student Sarah. But not like any other. All the other things are just retweets or copies of different tweets, and they're just like, if you're not a bot, say hi. If I don't know, if you see this, run for your life, and they show a picture following them. Or art moods. I do have a lot of posts that showcases a lot of art mutuals, and I just reply to the ones that don't have many replies, and well, that I know they reply. Oh, Mrs. Murray, Mr. Mrs. I really must implore you to keep up. I'm running a world-class establishment here. I don't have time to wait around for mindering guests. You really don't have to wait for me. I'm just looking for a way through this place. Oh, sure, you eat it. The customer is always right. Business is finally picking up and you lose your temper? Oh, of course, Miss Merrill. My sincere apologies. I was out of line. Please feel free to explore at your leisure. Leisure? What does leisure mean? Leisure? Like enjoyment? No, leisure. I know that there are hidden doors somewhere. Like that way, for example. But I'm thinking I have to, first of all, come here. What is it here? An old paper sticks out from a medic cutter. Attention to hotel staff. It is my sad duty to inform you that the Celestial Resort Hotel will close indefinitely following this season, due to circumstances beyond our control. It was an honor to have served alongside you all, as we were tasked to ensure that our guests enjoyed the most hospitable and memorable experience possible. I write this with a heavy heart. This hotel has become my home, its staff and patrons my family. I will miss you all dearly. Mr. Osher. Okay. So the hotel closed a long time ago. In here, if I'm not wrong, there was the Pico. Should I play Pico? I don't want to play Pico. Wait. Okay, just for a moment. This is really nerve-wracking. Jump. There you go. Wow. Really love this kind of retro games. But sometimes they are just desperate. Okay. There you go. No. I'm thinking this is like the original idea of Celeste. I don't know the story behind this. Yeah, I could have. Normally I'm speaking a little bit louder. And that's why I don't have it louder. There you go. It should be better. Let me see if I put some filters on it. Audio, microphone, filters. Because I was experimenting for the karaoke stream, and I didn't want to have a crunchy microphone, you know. Let's exit this. Can you hear me better now? We're just gonna go back. Also, I'm gonna speak a little bit louder as well, since I'm just like pretty chill. I'm thinking because I wasted a lot of energy. I was singing. I put all karaoke songs on my TV. We're singing out of control. Perfect. When did this happen? I don't even know where to begin with. Mr. Oshiro, do you run this whole place by yourself? You're right, Murphy. I'll never sort this mess out alone. It's hopeless. That's not what I meant. Okay, so they want me to they want me to clean all this place. Just breathe, Mr. Oshiro. Breathe. It's just a little spring cleaning. Well, more than a little. But I can help. You're too kind, but I wouldn't even bother. It's a lost cause. Okay, where should I go first? I have 3 options. Up, like top, center, or bottom. Top or bottom. I'm just kidding. Up, down, center. I know there's an order which you can do the things. Oh, I can do this way as well. We go this way. Yeah, why not? Okay. There you go. Oh no. Stop. Oh fuck. There was so much delay, sorry. No. Oops. Yeah. Pretty much sure there was a delay, like 2 or 3 seconds. But for some reason it made like 10 seconds or so. What? Nope. There's a lot of coordination in this game that I don't really have. Oh, I've seen something. Oh no! I had a like a platform to stand on. Jump. Or we can do made up pro game moves like. No. Oh, okay, we can do that. Oops. Almost. You should sing it. Okay. There you go. Oh, okay. There we go. No! I was almost in the end. Okay, so the way is like this, and then and now This is gonna have me so dead. Oh, there you go. No. Okay. So we should. Nope. Okay. This is difficult. I don't know why there's a lot of space all the way up there. Let's do this. And I hope that you're enjoying the stream. Thank you for being here. I really appreciate it. I don't have the words to say how much I appreciate you being here. I haven't even begun cleaning and already I feel renewed lightness of spirit. That's the power of positive thinking. Yeah, you're not doing anything, you bastard. Actually, I clear out some of the clutter for you. Oh yes, thank you. Please relax and let the hotel staff handle it. Oh sure, you fool, you're losing her. Guests don't want to spend their time cleaning. Okay, are you okay? Yes, of course. This is the finest hotel you ever visit, you'll see. Oh, I'm doing pretty well, pretty well. Actually, today I was supposed to have school, but I'm taking care of one kid. Taking care of a kid. Not mine though. So I don't have the time to go to school. Which kinda sucks because I had like a really important subject today. But at least, well, I'm not with those kind of teachers. And they don't teach you anything. They're just there to bother you. Oh yeah. Oh no. Don't you tell me that I lose it. That I lose. There was a blue heart. Yes. Whoops. And I'm hoping, really hoping that it's open. Hoping that it's open. How am I supposed to go there? Oh, I know. Oh, Theo. Are you a guest here too? Merohi, I'm so happy to see you right now. I'm all about spooky mysteries, but this is getting too real. Have you talked to Mr. Oshiro? I think he could really use some help. You think? He's a creepy old weirdo. I bet he's cleaning up a nook to hide our bodies as we speak. I'm gonna crawl through this vent. I'm blowing cold air in from outside. Come on. Mr. Oshiro's traveled, but I don't think he wants to hurt us. He just needs to clean up this mess. I want to help him. He does very sweet, but this is dangerous. Yeah, I completely agree with you. Now we should go. We need to get out of here and call an expert on creepy old dudes. We aren't prepared for this. I think I can get through him. Go on ahead and I'll catch you up. And I'll catch up with you later. Man, you're making stubborn than my, you're more stubborn than my sister. I'm dyslexic. I thought that was impossible. You're just roasting your sister though. Take care of yourself. Thanks, Theo. I'll see you outside. Okay, goodbye, Theo. Don't you leave me here, although I wanted to stay. No! I had to clean up all the mess of the towel mess. I forgot about that. Oh, you can see Theo still going that way. Yeah, let's go all the way here. There you go. Oh, this should be the towel. Yes, perfect. There you go. Oh, in here there's another towel clutch. And if I'm not wrong, in here there's another strawberry. I just don't know how to play this game. Okay. Nope. Wow. One game that I'm pretty much sure that I won't play. Or maybe I will, just for the haha, or the ho-ho, or the baha. Is getting over it. I get so frustrated with this game. You know, getting over it, the man that isn't on a pod, climbing a mountain as well. There we go, we cleaned up all this mess. Oh, if I'm not wrong, now we could go back, right? Yes. Oh no, this is the Pico part. Yeah, honestly impressive how big and stack many towels. And on the books in here, look at this books. This one is just my size. Let's go. Oh, could I go back to the same place? Okay, so I lost a blue heart, and I should go that way when I finish. No worries. I think they just make them into a roll. they get them well wet and roll them up. Can you show me the exit now? Miss Murphy, you barely enjoyed the myriad luxuries that our hotel has to offer. We can talk more once I finish cleaning. I'm very busy. Yeah, so young people have no respect for things. You're welcome. I'm literally cleaning all this mess for you. I don't know why I have the speedrun clock. I think I put it only for, I don't know, making fun of myself. for spending a lot of time in the levels. No way. Was I here? Was I here? Oh yeah, we were here. Nope. What are these things? Are they like ghosts? Or they're like rust? I'm sorry, Blue Heart. Oh. It's gonna be difficult. There you go. And going up. Okay. Oh no. Okay. Oop. Okay. Let's clean all the mess that Mr. Oshiro cannot clean. Whoops. Nope. Don't confuse this human, so no matter who will. I'm so bad at this game. And there's like no one coming either, other than you, which I really appreciate. Well, a funny thing about this game is that I'm not in constant danger as in Rain World, for example. So maybe that's why. I should just be concentrated to the puzzle. So. Let's go. Okay, so now. Oh, 1 second. Should I go back? I can go back here. I hope more people come on Saturday. Oh well, at least that you come. It's already that you're here. Okay, Mr. Oshiro, what's next? There you are. You certainly have a knack for wandering off. It was tough, but I sorted everything out for you. Oh, I noticed that the dialogue chat of Madeline, like the main character, has some scratches. It was tough, but I sorted everything out for you. Celeste resort to extends gratitude for your assistance. Of course, the staff have the mess under control. Oh, sure, yeah. How humiliating. You must be eager to see your room. It's just up the elevator and down the hall. What the heck? Show me the presidential suite. Sweet. Sounds lovely. Now's your last chance, oh shit, don't lose her now. Just talking to himself all the time, assuming that I don't hear him. Oh! Oh. Just remember that you could... Oh, the elevator is broke. That's so nice. Oh, hello, Theo. Theo, I don't know how to pronounce his name. Man, it's amazing here. How's it going with El Creepo? El Creepo. I helped him clean up the huge mess, but he was kind of a jerk about it. And he still thinks that he can convince me to stay. Matter seriously, my bad idea rather is off the charts on this one. You should get out of here. If I disappear now, Mr. Usher could have a meltdown. A meltdown? And maybe I can actually do something good, for once. Forget your karma, dude. I think that guy is going to melt down no matter what. You have to think about your safety. You'll be okay. Yeah, I didn't expect you to listen. See you on the outside, Jailbird. Jailbird? We were friends. Is there any secret in here? In here? No. Oh, I cannot even go back. Okay, I can do this. There we go. I've been like talking about the Twitter and stuff. I'm thinking I might have been shadow banned or something. Because it does not show me anything else. No! Like, it doesn't show me the posts of people, it doesn't promote my content either. Although I'm interacting with a lot of people. And even if I have, like, active people talking there, it just seems like they're not there. You know what I mean? Or maybe they think that I am a bot as well. And so that's why they don't interact as much. Okay, so let's go in this way. This. Whoop, whoop. No! What should I do? Like this. I think the formula is right. Oh, I'm a genius. So we should go this way. I really lost all my skill in this game. Illusion. I'm thinking of what other games I could play, and I was thinking about Hollow Knight as well. They are like so niche games. There's not a lot of people that like them. There we go. Okay, finally. Okay, so we're on to the next stage. No! I was almost there. There you go. And this is it, Oshiro, your last chance. You already ruined it. Making a guest clean up your mess? He'll never stay. No, she's still here. She still has a chance. The prisoner so sweet is the key. It will surely impress her. Oh my god, those are your bad thoughts? Get it together, Oshiro. Sir, you're like blocking me the path. And there you are, Mrs. Murphy. Follow me quickly. We're almost there. No, thank you. Not like I have an option, right? Okay. I just jump. Okay. Oh, this part is real slow. Or maybe I'm the slow one. I'm thinking this might be the key. Oh, I was almost there. There you go. Oh, there's a hole. Oh no, more strawberries. I really like to collect them all. Like, I do like to collect them all. The thing is that they're so difficult to collect them that sometimes I just don't bother. Thank you. Right. And now one more. No! I was so close. Okay. I'll die a lot, I'm just kidding. Okay. And in here there was nothing. Perfect. And in here either. Okay. There's a chill. Surely. Oh, I think there's a tape in here. Oh no, there's the key. Oh yeah. I really like this one. 1, 2, 1. No. 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Oops. 2, 1, 2. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, two, one, two, one, two. There you go. Come on, a B-side, it's unlocked. And guess what I'm gonna do next? So I'm supposed to read this. Oh, it's Mr. Osher's diary. Finally, the final entry appears to be decades old. As of today, the hotel is officially whoops. I don't like the way it looks. Don't you tell me that. I was just at the end. I didn't have any more obstacles to surpass or anything. And I just decided to jump. I'm stupid. Oh. Okay, so how much do they think? How much to get for? Oh, we can do this. There we go. There we go. Oh, there's a mirror again. Here we are, our award-winning presidential suite. Truly, it is the very definition of rustic luxury. I'll stack back and allow you to soak in the majesty. I understand it can be a lot to handle. It is nice, but it doesn't have an exit. So, what do you think? It's beautiful. Furniture looks expensive. It's very spacious. colors are elegant. I can tell you put a lot of work into it. I knew it would impress you. Yeah. So, can I get on the roof from here? You imbecile, you're losing her. Oh, I almost forgot to mention. Value guests such as yourself stay in our finest accommodations at half price. I don't want to stay. Please, Mr. Mel. Please stay. Mr. Oshiro, I've already been sidetracked too long. Oh my god. Ah, Merohi, sweetie. Forget this loser. Loser? You're in denial, old man. This resort is a dump. No one would ever want to stay here. Someone had to say it. She doesn't mean that. I'm very busy. Please leave, Miss Mary. Come on, Miss Mary. You heard the man. Okay, I'm gonna leave. Where would you be without me? Oh, shut up. Why would she be beautiful? Why would she say my beautiful hotel is a dump? How dare she insult you like that? What if she's right? No, don't you think like that? Of course she's right. You could even clean up without her help. I tried. I'm doing my best. Mary, he only wanted to help. But why was she so cruel? How dare she insult you like that? Okay, so it's repeating itself. I thought we'd never get rid of him. You owe me one. Add it to the list. Leave me alone. You were so determined to keep climbing. Now all of a sudden you're some weirdo therapist? It's not a therapist. Why won't you go away? Mary, before you go, I need to ask one question. Why would you be so nice to me only to run away? What did I do wrong? Oh, give it a break. You still don't get it? She only helped people to feed her twisted ego. She never cared about you. Shut up. I just wanted to help. You're both pathetic. Pathetic? Oh, thank you. You only came here to humiliate me. I won't grovel at your feet any longer. Okay. Yeah. I thought there was something there. Okay. Oops. Okay, so. There we go. Oh, I remember that part. Okay. If I'm not wrong, I should be able to jump. Oh. Let's go. quite remember how to go. Oh. Nope. Okay, no wonder. Actually, I don't want that strawberry. I don't want it that bad. Oop. Okay. Let's just do things spice. I know I can do it. No more chill gameplay. No more chill gameplay. Whoops. Oh, I didn't see them. Okay, so whoops. How am I supposed to do it? No. Oh, I know. Come on, me. Come on, me. It wasn't like that. Oh, we start from the beginning. Okay. But at least I have the strawberry. There we go. It was crushing. Please, game, don't crash in the middle of the screen. I think it will crash, but it's just going slow. Whoops. Woo! Okay. Mr. Usher, stop. I just want to help. Okay, so Mr. Usher just destroyed his hotel. Mr. Usher, why did you do this? I want to help. I've decided to close the hotel for repairs. Second floor plumbing leaky. The library is a complete disaster. A disarray. Not to mention the hole in the ceiling with the presidential suite. No. Please, just leave me alone. Oh, Shiro! I know you were a jerk, but can you Not go. Oh, we finished the chapter. There we go. 1 hour 5 minutes. Okay. I think that's how I got like the 50 hours. 21 out of 25 strawberries. Okay, and like 170 deaths. Should we do the B side? I'm kind of sick of this place right now. I don't want to. Okay, let's do it in another stream. Let's go to Golden Ridge. I'm in tip. Low on energy in a pinch. Jumping away from walls doesn't consume stamina. Perfect. Oh, yes, I remember. Okay. No. I thought it was thank you. I thought it was those bubbles that just went all the way to one side. But it's not, apparently. There we go. Okay, I really like this place. It's one of the most beautiful parts of the game. Is there a secret in here? I'm not able to pull one up. Yes. Oh no, there was no secret. Perfect. Because I remember a strawberry somewhere. Oh, there you go. Oh, here you are again. Oh, great. You again. Yeah, literally my same words. Well. I didn't expect to see you up here. I'm glad you're still in One Piece. That's a reference. Just kidding. I see you made it through the hotel. Did you meet Mr. Oshiro? Oh, I met him, alright. He chased me out of here. Out of there. After I cleaned up a bunch of junk for him. Why? He's laughing at my face again. That sounds like a fun morning. For me, it was like an hour. Oshiro is a lost soul, dear. That place is much more than just a hotel to him. Don't make him your project. You know what I think? I think this mountain drove both of you crazy. Yeah. You know, you're not the person to say that. No, not the first person. Yeah. Maybe you're right. How would I know if I were crazy? Crazy? I was crazy once. They locked me in a room. A rubber room with rats. The way I see it is the mountain can't bring you out. Can't bring out anything that isn't already in you. So you were inherently crazy. But you gotta be a few cross short of murder to live up here in the first place. What are you even talking about? Yeah. Oh, I'm just rambling like the old bat I am. Are you ready to give up? Are you ready to give up? I know a shortcut back to your car. Back off, lady. I'm heading for the summit. Sometimes it's hard to tell the difference between stubbornness and determination, isn't it? You remind me of yourself when I was young. It keeps laughing at me. Good luck, and mind the wind. Mind the wind? How did I do that? Oh yeah. I just climbed there. I don't know how though. Mm. There you go. Come on. I should find a way, now that I think it, to put all my inputs, like all the controls, every key I press, I should put it on the, oh, yeah, I win. I should put it on the screen, right? I don't know if it's a good idea, but it might be a good thing to do. Might. Okay, so how am I supposed to get there? There we go. Okay. There we go. There's nothing in here. Okay. Oh yeah, we can try, I don't know, it's for the next stream, to input all the controls on the screen. I'm thinking it might be a good thing to do, since, well, I'm not speed running or anything, but it could kind of give you a feedback as well, other than just me jumping around. Okay, there you go. Like putting all the keys that I use. Mostly that. Mostly. The keys I'm pressing. Jump. 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 Ha, I knew it. Oh no, don't you. No, I almost did it. I almost did it. Okay, so it's like this. I thought this thing made you reset the stamina. Oops. Okay. So it should go like this. Jump. No. I could use one last dash. Like this. Like this. Oh. Let's jump. Okay. Very difficult, huh? There we go. Okay, 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 okay. Yes! Strawberry, please! Sorry if I'm like choose silence today. Also, if I'm being honest, a personal thing just happened as well. Oh, no worries if you're not gonna be here. Next two days. Well, but you can still catch up on Monday if I'm wrong. Whoops. Well, I don't think it's an unfortunate thing, unless that you don't want to go. It should be a good thing, right? You're visiting family. Again, unless you don't want to go, which that would be unfortunate. No. Okay. Okay, so we should do 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Oops. 2, 1, 2. I wish you the very best for your travel. Hi, thank you for the follow. I hope that you feel very welcome into the stream. And well, if you have any tip or advice, you can always give it to me. I'm gonna steal your advices. Okay. So it's not that far away. How was your day going, Rita? And well, Endrin, I wish you the very best for your trip with your family as well. I hope it's a good thing for you and not just like that time that you spend doing nothing. Oh my god. Oh, I was so nervous. I'm doing very great. English is not happy with me right now. I'm doing very great. I just started streaming like an hour ago, so let's go. This is the most beautiful part of the game. Hope that you enjoy it here. Hope that you like the stream. Oh. Just like this. I don't know how I'm supposed to do that. It's not my first playthrough, but I played it like 2 years ago. I forgot most of the things, so I just created a new playthrough, a new save file. Oops. Okay, so wind makes you waste stamina. Yeah, I have like 50 hours or so into the game. Maybe more. I completed it on its entirety. No, there's no way I jump that high. Okay, no problem. If I'm not wrong, there's several ways in here, right? You have that way, you can go up as well. You can go that way. Okay. Oh. Ah. I think that might not be the way. Today is pretty chill. Today is pretty chill. I didn't save my energies while I was doing karaoke. So now I'm suffering the consequences. Okay, so this place is closed. This one. Okay. There we push. Almost died there. Can you see everything correctly? Like everything running smoothly? Can you hear me well as well? Because I don't have any feedback on what I'm doing. Oh. Perfect. Very nice to hear. I just started like 2 weeks ago, so I also have to learn a lot of things about OBS and, well, streaming in general. Almost done. There you go. Okay, we got a strawberry. What else can we do? I don't know if this one is I don't think it is the main pathway. I don't want to advance more in the story if I have strawberries to collect. Oh, forgot about that. Let's go down. I'm gonna see if there is something in here. Supposedly if I'm climbing the mountain, I should go all the way. Oh. Not for all the strawberries, and well, thank you for viewing. There's a lot of people now. Not for all the strawberries, but most of. Well, the most I can. Whoop. No. It was almost there. Okay, perfect. How are you all doing? Literally 4 viewers is the biggest amount of people that were seeing my stream. Yes, of course. I'm thinking I might be going there now. There's a few more. It's like one more. Oh no! Didn't advance in the story. Didn't want to advance in the story. Okay. Oh, there you go. This one was the last strawberry, if I'm wrong. Yeah, because later on we have to move there. How do I do it? Like this. Yes. There was something there. Yes. I forgot how to do this. Yeah. Yeah, it's like really chill screen. Someone said today. And maybe I'm gonna advance a little bit more in the story, and then I should... Oh, there's another secret here. I should cut stream as well. Nope. Nope. Okay. This way. I'm so bad at this game. Oops. Okay, now is the last strawberry. So once you reach the next area, go down and to the top right. Once you... Oh, this room took me like 20 minutes for my first attempt. Yeah, as I said, I don't quite remember the controls. I have like muscle memory or so. I still remember about this jump that you can do. But everything's pretty difficult though. This? Yes. Ah! Okay. There we go. So, in theory, we should grab that block. Down, 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 up, 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 down, down, down. Oof. Okay. Whoops. How am I supposed to get up there? Okay. Perfect. No! I almost fell. Okay, I died. There we go. Oops. Okay, so doing this kind of jump can go pretty fast. Now that way. If you put like behind these blocks, like one block away from the wall, the wind doesn't affect you. If you put, if you're on the other side, the wind still pushes you, but the block doesn't let you go all the way down there. So that's the tip of the day. Ah! Oh no, I'm thinking there's a strawberry there. Yes. Ah no, I'm just stupid. There we go. Thank you all so much for being with me here. It supports me so much. It's really great motivation. I never streamed before. Whoops. Like I did have a channel but never went into streaming. And well, you know. Whoops. Is it crashing there? I think it's... Wait, that really did look like a secret. Yeah, that really did look like a secret. Hello? Oh no. That was evil. I really don't like the game devs. I used to be a game dev as well. Like I wanted to make my own game. Learned some courses. Um, went through all the process of doing a game. Oh, that's why I remember there was a strawberry right there. No, it's not actually my first stream. It's like my 4th stream or 5th maybe. I just started like 2 weeks ago. Yeah, I also started like streaming. Mostly, first of all, on Instagram, which sounds kind of silly, I know. But it was like a way I had for streaming my games. And for the type of content I do, well, mostly playing indie games and retro as well. Someday I'll do a special Mario Bros. I'm sorry, I'm just a boomer. What? There you go. No. I just want to kind of revive the like bring back the old internet kind of vibe. Okay. And I also want to bring some recognition to indie games of a lot of really talented people. I'm pretty much sure I'm gonna play Undertale and maybe Project Zomboid, although I'm not sure if it's an indie game or not. Oh, shoot. This is gonna be difficult. Oh. There you go. Okay, we made it. There we go. I was so scared. Well, not scared, but real nervous. Also, my main language is not English, so I kind of struggle with that a little. I studied for a lot of years. How did I not grab that? Underage will be cool. You should definitely play Outcore. It's free and indie game that gets little to not recognition. Outcore. I'm gonna save it here. Just give me 1 moment. Never heard of it. Also, thank you so much for the follows. Strategic Front, thank you so much for following me. I really appreciate it. Again, you're the ones making this possible. So, I'm really thankful for that. We reached the 75% of the goal. 75%, yes. Follower goal. Okay. I hate... Well, my main language is Spanish, actually. I'm from Argentina. Maybe we can just do this. As long as it doesn't regenerate or something. Oh my god! What the heck was that? Okay, no. What did I do there? Okay, go up, all the way up. Come on. Whoops. There you go. No! I almost had it. Like, I literally don't know what happened. And it wasn't a bad timing. If it was in a... If it would have been in a good timing, that could have been useful. Oh, 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 oh. I saw you. Don't ask me how I'm doing this. No! No worries, no worries. Today I'm not gonna be streaming more. I might end the stream like in 20 minutes. Because there's gonna be people in the house. But I'm gonna do a special... maybe tomorrow if I'm not wrong. Yeah, on Saturday. I want to do something different, like maybe a karaoke kind of stream. Depending on what the people would like most. Whoop. But yeah, usually I stream like start streaming 2 hours before. Now, like 2 hours ago. No. I usually start streaming 2 hours ago and then just go with it. Yeah, I only stream 2 hours because there's so much people in the house that I don't want them to be doing noises and just being weird. There's already one weird person in the house. Why is there a different music? Wish you the best though. Wish you the best. Well, I don't know what do you say when someone is going to eat. Right? And here we say provecho. Like way of saying thanks for the food. Maybe like this. Nope. There we go. How? Let's jump this way. Okay, so what we know until now is that we have to do this. Oops. Corner jump boost. So that has a name actually. Didn't know. Why is this room so difficult? And there's no rest or anything. How should I go that way? Whoop. Okay. That is like this. Maybe there's a secret somewhere. Yes, of course. I'm gonna do. Usually, it's on Tuesdays, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday, all at the same hour. It is 1 p.m. for me when I start, and 3 p.m. when I end. I'm not quite sure what time should be in your time zone. But yeah, all those days, I am surely streaming. I hope that you have a wonderful day, wonderful day Friday soon. Oh, there's no secret in here. Bye bye. What a nice people. Okay, so we should do it like this. Should I do it like a corner jump? No. Like this. Almost. Okay, so we should try to reach the corner of the block. There we go. Oh, wait a second. I'm seeing a thing. I'm seeing a thing. And I'm not quite sure if it is what I'm thinking. Oh no. I thought there was a rest here. Like a hidden rest or something. Jump! Then we go that way. Oh my god. Yes! 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 And now there's a lot of wind. Okay. No! Okay. Okay. Like this. Nope. Come on. Okay, fair. Now we just do it like this. And this is gonna be difficult. Oh no. Okay, so we... There we go. Okay, okay, okay. What do you guys think? Oh. I just add the snowball. What do you guys think about like a karaoke stream tomorrow? I know it was kind of like mostly an idea, but I don't want to be the only one thinking it. Like, I know that you guys don't know how I sing or anything. Sounds cool. Sounds good. There you go. And instead of doing 2 hours, instead of doing 2 hours as normal, it might be like 3 hours or so. Because I have some free time where no one's gonna be around. Oh my god. Probably I'm gonna have to head out soon, but... Oh. It's a doggy with fires. Sorry, hands catching on fire. No. Okay, just went straight into it. Go. Okay. No. Okay. We should try to avoid those things, which sounds kind of obvious. But I don't like them. Why is there this thing right here? Oh no, nowhere. No more snowballs? Perfect. No, there are snowballs. There are snowballs. No! Okay. Okay. The wind in here is so strong. I don't know how I still got my hair untouched. No! How am I, how am I supposed to dodge that? Okay. Okay, there's a secret in here. Come on. Come on. Come on. Is this the last one with wind? Please tell me so. No. Okay. Whoops. Yeah, forgot I cannot wall do a jump in the air. How is this room so difficult? Nope. I can run faster with no air resistance. Wish there was no air resistance. Oh, now you stop. Now you stop. Oh my god. I have only one word, like, how? There we go. Merohi, wait up. Who is it? Oh, Theo, yes! Oh, Theo. I don't know how to pronounce it. Still. Nail it, yeah. Totally. Are you okay? Oh, are you alright? Ah, yeah. Just give me a sec. A gondola. Gondola. I didn't know they were called like this in English as well. I've always wanted to ride one of this. It looks pretty old, but maybe it still works. I haven't seen any other way to cross this chasm. Let's do it. This lever looks important. There we go. Ah, easy every time. I was probably a gondola operator in the past life. Do you think this thing is safe? I mean, it's all covered in rust and scratches, and it's been here for a long time. I'm not quite sure it's safe. I'm sure it's fine. Yeah, sure. How did it shake out with Oshiro? You were right. I shouldn't have tried to help him. I hate to say I told you so, but yeah. Yeah. I should have listened to you. You didn't get hurt. That's what matters. Yeah. The air is so thin up here. I can barely breathe. Okay, if we don't get a selfie on this thing, we're going to regret it. Oh, please take a photo. I can't even see the ground through the mist. How high up are we? Less panicking, more posing. Oh, these moments are so... Oh. I was about to say so wholesome, but... What was that? Ah, looks like we stalled out. Um, this is really bad. Maybe if I... What are you gonna do? No! The lever just went flying straight up to to the chasm. Well, that that's not good. Oh hell no! Of course not. No, this really isn't good. Oh, Mary, you cool? I think their Madeline is getting a heart attack. Classic Theo, yeah. Yeah, I just... No, I'm not cool. I can't breathe. You're having a panic attack. Why would you think it's a good idea to write a stupid thing? If I'm not wrong, I was the one with the idea. Come on, don't take this out on me. Stay with me. Stay with me here. My grandma told me a trick for that. Grandpa. Trick? Close your eyes. Okay, everybody close your eyes. No, just kidding. Picture a feather floating in front of you. See it? Okay. Your breathing keeps that feather floating. Just breathe slow and steady. In and out. Okay? Whoops. So I should... Whoops. Should take it into the square. Now, let's see. Chill, Madeline. Madeline. Okay, if we focus only in our breathing. Oops. There we go. Once this cutscene ends, I'm gonna have to end stream. There's gonna be people coming to the house. Let's see. See? Easy every time. Yeah, I don't want it to just be screaming and doing noises. There must be a strawberry down there. Little doggy. Feeling any better? I think so. Thanks for helping me calm down. How did you know we would start moving again? Oh, I totally thought we were done for. That was such a relief. Thank you for the relieving moment, Theo. Madeline's still breathing so heavily. Oh my god, look at this selfie though. Oh, these moments are so wholesome. I'm gonna just screenshot that thing. How do I do screenshots? F12, right? Yeah. There we go. We completed the custom. Was it the? I don't remember the name of the chapter. 42 minutes and 12 seconds. It's like 3 hours in total. Yeah, a really wholesome moment. I love it. And we got the blue heart. 25 out of 29. Okay, it's not bad. I still got like 4 more to take. I really like the B-sides in this one. What is this? The Mirror Temple. Oh, it's one of the last places, if I'm wrong. And in here, where did we miss? Okay, one in the beginning that I don't recall. Yeah, it makes me wanna climb a mountain and be chased by spirits and falling boulders. and be hit in the face by a giant snowball. And the B-side. Okay, we should complete the B-side on the next stream. We're gonna do maybe this B-side? No. It was this B-side, and also the 4 more strawberries that I got there. And the B-side in this one. Okay, so far so good. What do we get? Okay, so for Second City, all side, Celestial Resort, and Golden Reach are completed. I only have one tape left to encounter in the Forsaken City. I don't know where that is. And I only have like one blue heart, one red heart, one blue heart. And in Celestial Resort, I don't even have the blue heart. I know where it is, but it's like in a certain order that I need to clear all the hotel in order for me to access that part. And how many deaths in total? 448 deaths. Let's go. And well, we only have 84 strawberries. I just want to have a good ending with all the pie and all that. But overall, we did only 3 hours of stream. Yeah, it makes sense. Makes total sense. Last stream was like an hour and a half, or an hour and 50. Old side is the only B side that I completed. And we have this. I never knew what this is. I know that it's like kind of like a poem you can grab and move, but I don't know if this unlocks something or it's just for like Eye of the Storm, Boneless Machines, Black Moonrise. Just like a poem. Okay, let's go. I don't want to see the credit. Exit. There we go. And if I'm wrong, F. There we go. I can figure all the shortcuts well. That chat is broken for sure. I don't know. What happened to the chat? It's completely broken. It literally shows half of the things in there. I'm gonna maybe fix it off stream. And thank you all so much for coming here. I usually end up the stream like trying to rate someone, but for some reason it doesn't let me at all. Like it never let me. It may be because of I have only like 1 or 2 viewers at the same time. So no, thank you for saying bye Andreen, bye Rira. Hope Rira or is Rira. Hope that you have a wonderful day, wonderful day, and thank you all so much for the support. You can see my votes on the YouTube channel, and well, of course, on Twitter. I'm really more active. I hope that you have a wonderful day. Thank you so much for coming. Bye.